Okay, tonight we keep reading Jane Doe and the Cradle of All Worlds. We are up to the chapter called The Truth About John and Elsa. The manor goes by many names and is known across many worlds, as are the people of Blue Haven. The history of our world, Talus, is littered with accounts of, I hold up a hand, need a second to let this sink in. Talus. Our home world is Talus. You're okay, Jane? Yep, just processing. Talus, huh? Yes. I want to know everything. What does it look like? What's the weather like? Can we go when we're there when this is over? Why did we leave? Do they have coconuts there? There are so many questions, they all get jammed in my throat and I end up just staring at Dad wide-eyed. Mouth flapping slowly like a fish drowning in air. He waits for a bit, then clears his throat. Can I continue? Please. Right. As I was saying, the history of Talus is littered with accounts of mysterious strangers coming to aid us in our greatest time of need. The 100-Year Plague, the reign of the Winter King, the uprising of 1312. Many had forgotten the stories. Most believed they were myths, legends, but not us. Elsa and I had devoted our lives to finding the lost gateways of old, to proving not just the manor's existence, but the other worlds too. Ancient texts, scrolls, documents, we scoured them all, gathering information, plotting potential gateway locations, to no avail. Other historians thought it was all a waste of time. We were ostracized. I know what this word means. People chase you with knives too, huh? Dad frowns. No, I meant people laughed at us, called us fools. Oh, right, yeah, that isn't nice either. He sits straighter, narrows his eyes. Somebody chased you with a knife? Yeah, I never told you that. It's okay though. Good sprinting practice. Dad clenches his fists. Right, we'll deal with that later, shall we? Where was I? Yes. Well, everything changed on our expedition down the River Talon. Elsa had finally gained access to an ancient text belonging to a local warlord. Look, it's a very long story, very dangerous and exciting. The point is, she translated the text, cross-referenced it with a load of other information and maps we'd gathered over the years, and found us a gateway. I'm talking actual coordinates. We were close. I couldn't believe it. I hadn't even wanted to go on that particular expedition. Dad forced a sad smile. Elsa was pregnant, you see. 3 months. Oh, I say, buzzing at my appearance in the story, albeit in fetus form. We're not turning back, she told me. Not now. Dad falls silent, lost in the memory. The train chugs round another bend. So you went and found it, I say. Dad nods slowly. Deep in the jungle, a day's journey downriver, hidden in a valley of limestone pinnacles, a stone door in a shallow cave. We stood there before it, unable to move, unable to speak. Then we moved as one, touched the stone, the gateway opened. You entered together? You broke the 3rd law. I think the 3 laws were created by the people of Blue Haven long ago. As far as I'm aware, they exist nowhere else, certainly not on Talus. So yes, we entered the manor together, found ourselves in a candlelit corridor. It was like stepping into a dream. The gateway closed behind them. They never saw their home again. Mum and Dad walked, corridor after corridor, hallway after hallway, rooms and chambers shifting behind them as they went. They encountered no booby traps, had no idea what kind of nightmare they were about to walk into. Then they saw it, touched it, another gateway that opened onto a different world with 2 suns, one small and white, one large and orange. They were standing at the base of a cliff, looking out upon the dune sea. Arakan, Dad says, a desolate world, ruined, decayed, Roth's world. Bitter air blasted their lungs dry. The gateway sealed when they stepped out of the manor, indistinguishable from the cliff face. Bullets sprayed the sand at their feet at once. They tried to run, but found themselves trapped in a net, watching as a troop of leatherheads rappelled down the cliff and surrounded them. The gateway was obviously no secret. Someone must have used it before. Perhaps Roth saw them leave. Maybe he tried to leave with them, but was a moment too late. Either way, it was clear he'd been waiting a long time for the gateway to open again. Dad's voice gets a little shaky now. Even after all these years, the memory still scares him. We were bound, gagged. The soldiers, leatherheads, as you call them, sent up a black flare. We didn't know it, but that was the signal for Roth to come. Day turned to night. The temperature plummeted. We were given no blankets, no food or water. He trips over the start of his next sentence, tries again. We felt him before we saw him. The air turned sour. We felt ill, as if struck by a sudden sickness. Roth is no man, Jane. He's a walking disease, contaminating the very air he breathes. Is that why he wears the mask? He wears the mask out of vanity. I think his was a fair race, strong and proud, but now all but extinct. I don't know how he came to be the way he is. Whatever happened, he's now an abomination of his former self, rotten to the core, but still very much immortal. I fear even the spectres are powerless to stop him. I never saw him in the grip. Not even his mind can be broken. What happened to his people then? I ask. Were they immortal too? If they were, somebody obviously found a way to kill them. Maybe he found a way to kill them. Roth, the last of the immortals. I think he'd like the sound of that. The thin woman's trying to comfort the two kids now, talking to them, patting their heads, wiping the tear-streaked grime from their cheeks. I think they're in shock. A man from the other chain gang sobbing quietly to himself, nursing an arm that's clearly broken. Several more have gone to sleep. All these people from different worlds forced together, trapped and terrorized by Roth. I clench my fist so hard it hurts my injured hand. And when he came to you that night in Arakan, what did he say? Well, technically he didn't say anything. He doesn't have a mouth. Oh yeah. So, how does he talk? Roth has no need for speech. He pokes around inside your mind, reads you, drains your thoughts. You can't stop it. Dad shakes his head, can't find the words. We pleaded and begged. He just stood there reading us, breaking us down, telling us in our minds what he wanted, his voice like ice, scraping around inside our skulls. And what he wanted was to get inside the manor. Roth dragged Mum and Dad back to the gateway. When they refused to open it, he pulled a couple of curved, sickle-like blades from his cloak, held one of them to Mum's neck, and traced the other down to her belly. Dad didn't hesitate then, not for a second. I let him in, he says. I touched the rock and the gateway opened again. All this, he waves a hand at the carriage and the other prisoners, is because of me. He looks so helpless, so sorry, like he's about to cry. A man with the weight of 1,000 worlds on his shoulders. I grab his hand and squeeze it tight. Tell him it wasn't his fault, isn't his fault, that anybody would have done the same. Roth gave him no choice. Dad squeezes my hand back, a simple gesture he never used to be able to do. It all happened so fast, he almost whispers. Roth marched his troops in, hundreds of them. They constructed a thick metal frame inside the gateway to keep it open, turned corridors into roads, drove in tanks and trucks, disabled booby traps, started building a fortress in the first large chamber they found, starting with a brand new cell for us. Months passed before Roth came to see us again. About 6 months to be precise. He came when Elsa was in labour, when we were all most vulnerable. He knew I would do anything to help her. He wanted you to show him the gateway back to Talus, I say. Dad looks at me, puzzled and frown-eyed. So I let his hand go and add, that's why he takes prisoners, right? So they can lead him to more gateways. He ruined his own world, so now he's looking for another. Dad shakes his head. Jane, Roth doesn't want to conquer one world. He wants to conquer all of them. And to do that, he first needs to conquer the manor itself. Dad taps the symbol drawn on the floor between us. He's looking for this, Jane, the cradle of all worlds. It's the core of the manor, the first chamber created by the makers, a chamber with one purpose, to house and protect a source of immense and unmatched power. Dad pauses, takes a breath. I swear I can hear a drum roll somewhere. The cradle sea. The vibe in the carriage changes at once. The old man looks at us. Hickory closes his eyes as if he's just swallowed something bad, like this is the one thing he didn't want me to hear. Even the girl twitches, and I wonder if she's really sleeping. A sea, I say. You mean like an ocean? Yes. Sorry, I just have to get my head around this. I hold out my hands like I'm lifting a really big ball. The cradle of all worlds is a really, really ridiculously big chamber. Dad nods. In the centre of the manor, he nods again, with an entire bloody sea inside it. Precisely. The first thing I think is, that's crazy. The second thing I think is, crap, my nightmare. Could it be? The third thing I think is, no way, move on, forget it. But then Dad says, I heard you, Jane. Even in the grip, I was listening. All those times you spoke about your nightmares, all those nights you cried out in your sleep. I know that you had a drowning dream most of all. Oops. It isn't a nightmare though, is it? I say after a while, and suddenly it feels so obvious. How could I not see it before? It's a memory. The gatekeeper, the builder, and the scribe. How much do you know about the makers, Jane? I make a noise somewhere between a ha and an o, still trying to come to terms with the fact that the most terrifying place I can possibly imagine actually exists. It's real, and if what Dad says is true, then I've really been there, tossed around by those waves, nearly drowned in that water, which means the tentacles of crackling light are real too, the yawning mouths and white fire eyes, the spectres, I suppose, guardians of the cradle. You ever see a big white light, Jane? You run, Hickory told me. Turns out I already have seen one, more than one. I've seen dozens of the damn things, writhing and crackling in the deep, reaching out to me. They're real. But what about my other nightmares, the ones I had back on Blue Haven? All those terrible things I've seen and heard in my sleep, the men, women, and children in danger, strangers being chased, crying out for help, dying. They can't be memories, so what are they? Jane, the makers, how much do you know about them? I shake my head. The makers, I know they were gods. There were 3 of them. Supposedly they built the manor. Not supposedly, they did, in the beginning, and by the beginning I mean beginning, as in the very, 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 very beginning with a capital B, the girl says. We got it. Me, Dad, and Hickory turn our heads. She opens her eyes and shrugs. What? Keep going. She rests her head against the wall, closes her eyes again. We haven't got all day. Right, Dad says. Well, he looks around the carriage. How do I explain this? Yes, okay, think of a stack of paper, Jane, a stack bound in string, 1,000 pages, and each page represents a different or alternative dimension with its own suns and moons and stars. The worlds. The other worlds, yes. 1,000 dimensions existing separately but layered on top of each other, all held together by the string. The stack is fixed, secure, stable. Pick it up, throw it around, leave it outside all day. The pages stay together. But if you cut the string, the wind can blow them apart. One gust, one breath. I look up at the window across the carriage and the dots of candles whipping by outside. The stone walls a blur. The manor's the string. Exactly. The makers created the manor to fill the gaps between the worlds, to bridge and bind them together. You see, in the beginning, the dimensions were spinning uncontrollably, the worlds within them violent, uninhabitable places, unable to sustain even the smallest glimmer of life. They were realms of the gods, lands of chaos. A smile flicks the corners of Dad's lips. And then Po came, a god who could see things the other gods could not. A network of portholes linking the dimensions together. A tangle of threads branching out like the strands of a spider web. Po travelled along these threads, visiting the different dimensions and their worlds. She met Aris, creator and shaper of stone. Nabukai, a wise and powerful god. Oh, what did it say? Oh, that's it. Nabukai, a wise and powerful god with the gift of foresight. He could see every future in every world. All three of them believed it was time for the reign of the gods to come to an end, to let life spread and prosper in every dimension. But it was Nabukai who knew how to do it. He had been waiting for Po and Aris. He had already seen the wonder they would create. So Po took Aris and Nabukai along the threads, and in that place between places they forged the manor together. Aris built every wall, every chamber, every trap. Po made every gateway and connected them to the other worlds. And Nabukai engraved the fate of all worlds into the walls of the manor itself, and the destinies of those who would shape them. He saw all of our paths, Jane, and we walk them, whether we like it or not. Nabukai, the one who left the symbol for Winifred, the one who gave her the vision, he's my least favourite one, then, I say. Don't hate the gods, kiddo. They're pissed off enough as it is, Dad smiles. So the manor was finished, the other worlds calmed, but the makers still had to contend with the gods of chaos, many with powers stronger than their own. So instead of fighting them, they tricked them, spread word of the wonder they'd created and lured the gods inside to see it. Po opened every gateway. Aris channeled the gods directly into the empty cradle, and once inside, the combined energies of every god clashed, swirled, and transformed irreversibly into a pool of energy and light. The Cradle Sea was born, a force strong enough to lay entire worlds to waste, the energy and essence of the old gods bound together forever as one. And what happened to the makers? Well, they knew that in order for the age of life to truly begin, they too would have to join the fallen gods inside the cradle. After sealing it from the inside, they poured their own spirits not into the sea, but into the foundation stone lying at its centre. The first stone laid down by Aris, I say, picturing the steep-sloped little island that started popping up in my nightmare ever since I stepped inside the manor. It's big, isn't it? Oh yes. From there, the essence of the makers has powered the core of the manor and kept the sea safe and secret ever since. Po, Aris, and Nabukai, the gatekeeper, the builder, and the scribe. Dad taps the symbol on the floor, traces over the almost triangle again. 3 gods. He moves onto the circle now, at the centre of the most sacred creation. I frown at the almost triangle. Why is that line there curved inward? I don't know. And the spectres? Where did they come from? I don't know that either. Perhaps the makers fashioned them from the Cradle Sea. Perhaps they were gods of chaos spared by the makers, a lesser order of gods chosen to watch over and protect them. All I know is the spectres can't use the gateways or exist in the other worlds without a host. As I said, I wouldn't have been gripped all those years if they could. And while they can pass through the walls of the manor, I don't think they can pass through the walls of the cradle itself. It's too powerful, even for them. Too protected. The 2 that chased us from the cradle are trapped in here like the rest of us. I shift my weight on the butt-numbing floor, one cheek to the other. This is all so huge, so beyond me. I'm used to worrying about house chores, escape routes, and rowdy fisherfolk, not the beginning with a capital B of all existence. My head hurts. So what does all this have to do with the key? Now we come to it. The legend of the makers told on Talos finishes there with the creation of the Cradle Sea. I believe the version told on Bluehaven is the same. Winifred spent many nights reading to us in the museum, Jane. The story never went beyond that point. But remember, the manor is revered in many worlds. Some legends travel far and change with every telling. On Roth's world, On Arakan, it is said that before the makers sealed themselves inside the cradle, Nabulkai foresaw a great evil that would one day try to conquer their creation. And so the makers forged a key that in the hands of someone pure of heart would be able to unlock the cradle and use its power to expel this evil from the manor. At least, that is what Roth would have you believe. Dad glances at Hickory and the girl, both watching him intently now. The truth is, there are 3 keys. Hickory leans out from the carriage wall as if something has pinched his back. 3, he says through his gag. 3? 2 keys hidden inside the manor to open the cradle of all worlds. Yes, your key is one of them, Jane, and the 3rd key to control it. That is what Roth ultimately wants. The 3rd and most powerful key the makers left inside the cradle, on the foundation stone in the centre of the sea. Control the 3rd key and you control the cradle. Control the cradle and the power of the makers is yours. The power to see all ends, to open any gateway, to channel the sea anywhere you choose. Roth could hold every world to ransom, destroy entire civilizations in the blink of an eye. And you knew all of this back then, the girl says, when Roth came to you, when Elsa was in labour. The accusatory tone in her voice bugs the hell out of me. No, Dad says. But Roth wasted no time educating me. While Elsa cried out in pain, he pinned me to the wall, entered my mind and told me the story, showed me the symbol. He had spent months looking for the keys and the cradle entrance to no avail. He could feel the manor itself working against him. He believed that somebody with more noble and innocent intentions might have better luck. He had chosen his timing well. I swore in my life and Elsa's I would help him find the cradle, and he let me go. He let me help her. I nearly jumped out of my skin when I hear this. So I was born here then, in the manor? Yes, Jane, Dad says, struggling to find the words to get me an answer out. You were born in the manor, but a jolt in the carriage throws us sideways. Brakes squeal, sparks fly past the windows. Prisoners shout and hold each other. My insides squirm. There's a clank, 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 an exhausted bellow of steam, then we're all jerked back into silence. A heavy quiet fills the carriage, broken only by the distant barking of tin skins and the gentle tinkling of our chains. Why have we stopped? I ask. A woman from the other chain gang peeks out the window, turns back, shakes her head, says something no one seems to understand. We're not there yet, Dad says. We can't be. Hickory's the first to panic. It begins as a stillness, a refusal to shuffle with the rest of us to the window. He says something over and over. Rough, rough, getting louder, getting quicker. He backs away into the girl, past the girl, yanking us all towards the back of the carriage. He slips and pulls most of us down with him, tries to free his hands. Rough, rough, rough. And then I feel it, a burn in the throat, an itch on the skin, a dizziness. I cough, and so does the girl. The old man clutches his chest and gasps for air. People rub their eyes, hold hands to their hearts and heads. I can hear prisoners crying in the other carriages, banging their chains in protest. A carriage door screeching open and shut further up the train. The girl reaches over and pulls the rope from Hickory's mouth, and that's when the train starts its caterpillar crawl again. It's him, Hickory coughs. Roth's on the train.